Hi everyone, I'm Preksha Bokaria. I'm currently pursuing my master's in design for sustainability at SCAD, and I'm grateful for this opportunity given to me by We Design People and obviously Radhika. Um, yeah. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Chennai, India, and I did my undergrad in Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts in Singapore. And post that, I went back to India and started working in a digital marketing agency for about 1.5 years. During my time there, I realized that I want to design for durability and longevity, which made me pursue my current master's, because of which I'm in Savannah, Georgia now. So I want to ask all of you, what do you think sustainability means to you? You can feel free to unmute yourselves or even type in the chat box.
Yeah, so maybe we can just have people unmute themselves, or if you feel more comfortable, you can respond and type it in the chat. Yeah, we have, Preksha, do you want to take it on? I think we have some responses.
Yeah. I can't see the chat.
Okay, so there are people who are saying, we have Kay saying it's more than just environmental causes. Rishita saying it's designing for inclusivity. Devangana saying designing for a better planet. WL saying avoiding conflicts on all sides. Chavi saying longevity, like you said. Nurbaya saying sustainability means designing with long-term impact in mind. So if you'd like to hear a little bit more from any one of these, we could also ask them as well.
No, I mean, it's sort of all in the right direction. But initially, when I came to SCAD, I thought that sustainability is just about, natural resources. But yeah. So, but within the first few weeks of SCAD, I realized that it's not just about natural resources. In addition to natural resources, we also need social and economic resources. So sustainability is based on three main pillars, that is people, planet, and prosperity. This is a triple bottom line, which the sustainability framework is, like, most of the companies are based on this framework, and this framework was coined almost 27 years ago. So there are reports and multiple reports and articles such as Our Common Future, the Earth Charter, Agenda 21, Limits to Growth, which talk about strategies and agendas to make human development more sustainable and to find a balance between ecology and prosperity. So I'm just going to share something like which I took away from these articles. So in June 1992, a 700-page global plan of action was produced as a result of the Earth Summit in Brazil. This blueprint is also known as Agenda 21, and it represented an agreement reached by 178 states on how the future could be secured. It was for global partnership aimed at high quality environment and healthy economy for all people on the planet. This led to the development of the sustainable goals, which came out in 2015. And it's a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that everyone on Earth enjoys peace and prosperity by 2030. These 17 goals are all integrated, and action in one can, it affects all 17. So, for example, like the first one, which is the first and foremost SGD, is eradicate poverty in all forms. Each and every country of the world is looking forward to eradicating poverty. And this again ties back to the definition of sustainability, that it's not just about natural resources, it's also about people. So globally, people are working towards eradicating poverty, and then so that people can enjoy equal rights to economic resources as well as basic infrastructure and technology. Poverty has declined, like extreme poverty has declined from 36% in 1990 to almost 10% in 2015. But there has been a huge setback because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and because of which developing countries are at most risk during and in the aftermath of the pandemic, not only as a health crisis, but as a devastating social and economic crisis over months and years to come. According to the United Nations Development Program, income losses are expected to exceed $200 billion in developing countries. These losses will not only impact education, human rights, but in the most severe cases, it might even impact the basic food security. So I've been talking a bit about sustainability now, but let's get talking about what designing for sustainability is. So what do you guys think about these images or products? Again, please feel free to unmute yourself so you can even send in questions or answers in the chat box.
The color green we can see everywhere. Like green is used a lot on these
Yeah.
designs.
Yeah.
I think like the first image on the left is quite saturated, but then the rest of them look quite. I mean, it's not as saturated as the rest of them, but as I think the element of nature, the element of water, is used quite a lot
Yeah.
in these images. Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I noticed about the materials also used in these different designs, especially for the paper bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys must have noticed that the world has become more eco-friendly in the recent years, or at least so it would appear. But you've ever picked any of these products because it had the word natural or because it had the word it's made out of paper or recycled materials, you might have been a victim of greenwashing. So in our hyper consumption based society, it's always smart to raise a skeptical eyebrow when you hear organizations make claims of how they're doing their part in the quest to save the earth. Although I truly believe that we can't save the earth, we all can only work towards changing earth. When companies invest more time on marketing their products or brand as green rather than actually doing the hard work to ensure that it's sustainable, it's called greenwashing. One classic example of greenwashing is the fast fashion industry. The fast fashion industry is notorious for its environmental impact, so a level of greenwashing is to be expected here. But you might be surprised at the sheer amount of greenwash that was revealed in a 2021 report from the Changing Markets Foundation. They looked at clothing from major high street fashion brands to check the truthfulness of their sustainability claims and found that 60% of the claims were misleading. That's bad enough already, but H&M was found to be the worst offenders with a shocking 96% of their claims not holding up. Put simply, all the claims that the fashion giants were making to trick people concerned about their environmental impact into buying. So the next time you consider buying from a major retailer like H&M because of the imprecise green tinged language like conscious, do reconsider. The percentages say that we're likely being lied to. While some greenwashing is unintentional and results from a lack of knowledge about what sustainability truly is, it is often intentionally carried out through a wide range of marketing and PR efforts. But the common denominator amongst all greenwashing is that it's not only misleading, but it's also not really helping to further sustainable design or circular economy initiatives. Thus, environmental problems stay the same or more likely get even worse as greenwashing often sucks up airtime and misdirects well-intentioned consumers down the wrong path. So, Radhika, I'm going to talk about how to identify genuine sustainable brands later, like at the end of the talk. But so basically now what sustainable design is. Sustainable design is designing for durability, longevity, and reusability. It's about making the world a more abundant and equitable place by balancing economic prosperity with social well-being and a sustainable environment. In our current economy, we take materials from the earth, make products from them, and eventually throw them away as waste. This process is linear. What we need to adopt is a circular process. In the circular economy, by contrast, we stop waste from being produced in the first place. The circular economy is based on three principles which are driven by design. It's about eliminating waste and pollution, circulating products and materials, and regenerating nature. In the circular economy system diagram known as the butterfly diagram, it illustrates continuous flow of materials in the circular economy. There are two main cycles, the technical cycle and the biological cycle. In the technical cycle, products and materials are kept in circulation through process such as reuse, repair, and remanufacture. In the biological cycle, the nutrients from biodegradable materials are returned to the earth to regenerate nature. So our main aim should not even be recycling. That should be the last step when we think about sustainable design. It needs to be about how to keep reusing the products or using the materials from a current product and generate new products. The circular economy gives us the tools to tackle climate change and biodiversity loss together while addressing important social needs. There are many brands that are slowly incorporating the circular economy model. One such example is Everdrop. Everdrop is a company from Munich that has developed a range of cleaning products with the aim of minimizing use of plastics and other resources. They sell dissolvable detergent tabs and reusable spray bottles for kitchen and bathroom cleaning. The company is currently based in Europe. One of the foundational ideas that underpinned the Everdrop's development was the realization that cleaning products are primarily made out of water. So then why do companies use so many resources to transport something that is already available in our house? Redesigning cleaning products that avoid transport of water was their main brand agenda, as well as eliminating the use of single-use plastic. Everdrop's founders were also aware that detergents are the largest source of chemicals discharged by households into sewers, which impacts cost and use of chemicals in the wastewater treatment. To address this, Everdrop has created a green chemistry formulation for the detergent, as well as providing an online water hardness tool to its consumer. This enables the precise amount of detergent to be used based on the characteristics of the local water supply. This means compared to conventional detergents, up to 50% of unnecessary surfactants can be saved. Everdrop's tablets and reusable bottles have a number of environmental benefits. They are mainly waste prevention, carbon emissions because the transport is reduced because it's just tablets and we're not transporting like huge bottles of water. And it's recycled content. So the reusable bottles are available in 100% recycled PET or glass. And the packaging the bottles come in, like the paper packaging, it's made out of FSC certified paper with a coating based on harvest waste. So that makes it completely compostable and recyclable. Furthermore, the refills are convenient for customers who no longer have to carry bulky and heavy bottles from store to home. Since the company was founded, the amount of Everdrop products has potentially saved more than 5 million single-use plastic bottles. We can all be change agents in considering and designing sustainable outcomes in the world around us that affect systemic well-being, socially, economically, and environmentally. When we frame sustainability as a practice that helps us create that future that we're excited about living in, we generate optimism about solving complex problems. Sustainability is basically about tackling these complex issues. Pair that with creative thinking, a knowledge of systems and life cycle thinking, and a foundation built on what sustainable design and practice really looks like, and we'll have tangible outcomes that are positively disrupting the status quo and affecting climate change. The key here is for more people to adopt the tools of change, not just following along with the trends, but be willing to do the work that understands what needs to change. And once we start adopting this change, we can start building making the world a more thoughtful place. Thank you. And if you guys have any questions, you can just send it in the chat box.
I think maybe, Preksha, I'd like to know a little bit about maybe a project that you worked on, where maybe you use sustainable design or something, or where you learned about sustainable design from and how the impact also showed in it and what it was about.
Yeah. So recently I took a class on sustainable materials where like initially we were supposed to just research on like all the different kinds of materials that are available, and you'll be like surprised to know that people have started making leather out of flower waste which can be collected from temples, or even pineapple skin or orange peel, and like multiple things. Like there's plastic made from like plastic resembling material made from corn, chalk, wood, and all of that. So like eventually the brief of the project was to take elements which SCAD either supplies or sells and redesign them to fit it in the circular economy. Like a simple thing like an ID card, like we are given that, every student is given that, and they need it for a maximum of 3 to 5 years, after which it goes into the trash. So how to keep that within the loop unless you lose it? Like the ID card we have has a plastic covering which is completely unnecessary, and instead of having like the recycle like a PVC card, you can use a recycled PVC card which is rewritable. So a rewritable card, once a student completes his or her education, they can return it back to the university and it can be rewritten on for eventually like the next student or that. So yeah, this is one of the most recent projects that I've been working on, and we looked at a multiple merchandise that is produced by the university and how to sort of fit everything into the circular economy. And previously we've also like my first class here was applied theories in sustainability, where we had to do a lot of readings and the articles that I spoke about, and sort of take our learnings from that and build it into a story. So mine was about the flip side, about how I thought that sustainability is just about natural resources, but once I came here I realized it's also about people, and how poverty and our overconsumption is so interconnected that if we consume less, poor people will have more resources to actually be able to consume. So that's what I worked around.
Okay, and I think a follow-up question to that would be, then how do you measure sustainability and know the impact of it? Like you're saying, like if we consume less, there'll be more for poorer people to consume. How would we be able to measure that?
In terms of measuring, like see, like I spoke about, there are three types of consumption. Obviously there's overconsumption, there's green consumption, and then there's sustainable consumption. So there are people who want to become more sustainable, but they are getting deviated by buying green products. And like green products might not be that expensive because sustainable products have also started coming out in the market. People lean towards the green products, and sometimes like an electric vehicle, for example, you might think that, oh, you're not using fossil fuels and petrol and hence you're saving electricity, so you might not feel guilty about driving a car that much anymore, and you might start driving your electric vehicle more. But eventually, because you've increased driving that so much, it is actually leading to more environmental problems than not driving a vehicle and actually driving a normal vehicle, because the engine of an electric vehicle also uses a lot more fossil fuels than it does in a normal car. So there are things like this, and there's also a life cycle analysis tool called the Sustainable Minds, where you can sort of input details about your products and it'll tell you how much impact that product is considering. Like, because sustainability is not just about the materials, you also need to consider the use of the product, the transportation, like from where is it manufactured and from where is it how is it being transported, because obviously air transport has a lot more carbon emissions than sea or road. So you need to consider all these things while you design a sustainable product.
Okay, I'm interested in knowing what was the life cycle framework that you talked about.
Basically, Sustainable Minds is an online tool, and at SCAD right now we have it for free, but it's a paid tool. So in that, you take a water bottle, for example, and you sort of measure the weight of the cap separately, and if it has a silicone ring, you measure that separately, and then the bottle itself is separate, and then you can key in all these details in sustainability, but in the application. And once you key in that, they'll ask you about the process and the materials used to make it, and eventually you need to key in details about how long have you been using it, how many times you washed it in that cycle, and did you use soap to wash it, and where is it manufactured, where did you buy it from, and the entire transport is calculated. And then in the last, you put in details about the end of life, like does it get recycled, or do you just throw it into the the landfill. And finally it tells you results. And we did a small, like a class activity, and compared 3 bottles, and you'll be surprised to know that there's not a lot of difference from the disposable plastic bottles and the current bottles that we're using right now, in terms of the impact that is being caused. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
We were asked to look for alternative solutions, and I was like, we need to go back to drinking from earthen pots. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyone has any comments on that before we move on to some of the questions that we have here?
Yeah, I'd also like to know, like, do you practice sustainable, whatever you've been describing, the sustainable practices only inside your campus in SCAD, or like you are implementing it everywhere at home as well?
I
When you're
am
in
trying to
India,
slowly incorporate it. Like, I myself have been a heavy shopper in terms of clothes and all of that, but I've now started thinking about where I'm buying from and how often am I buying, and do I
yeah,
actually need it or not. So it has actually
correct,
drastically reduced. So yeah, and even things like using reusable cloths instead of completely like disposable tissues and all of that. So that's
hmm.
also something that I'm slowly implementing. Like, it's obviously not a change that I can make overnight. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And what about when you come back home? Like in India, it's more difficult, right? Given the vast, population and all. So, one question I had is, what do you think? How will the process be in our country, like in India?
Uh Obviously it's gonna take time, but something which came, like, I went back home for spring this summer, and I went out for dinner with my parents. And you know how in India they change plates after every course? And it
Hmm.
came to me naturally that this plate is fine, I don't need my plate to be changed. It's something very small, but adding up 3 plates
Correct.
per person to being washed, that is something that, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's slow steps, but all of us can start adopting these small changes. And my parents were like, oh, she's a sustainable designer now, and that's why she's not changing her plates. I'm like, guys, it's just because I don't need another plate.
Correct.
Thanks for your question, Devangana. I think that's a really interesting takeaway, Preksha, and like small little tips on how to probably become more sustainable in small ways. I think we have some questions in the chat. I have a lot of questions as well, but let's go to the chat now and give other people a chance. Will you be able to look at the chat, or do you want me to read the questions out?
Yeah, I think there's one by Nurbaya which talks about how do we as heavy online shoppers can shop more sustainably, considering online shopping means more packaging waste. I mean, there is, like, you can shop from sustainable brands, and a lot of brands have started adopting sustainable packaging as well. But I like I told, I had the same problem, and what, like, after coming here, I genuinely reduced my shopping itself, because I realized that I don't need so many things. Like, it's my want, it's not my need. So yeah.
Nurbaya, do you have any comments on that or any further questions?
Hi, thank you so much for answering the questions. Yeah, I think like what you mentioned, sometimes when we shop, it's more of our wants rather than needs.
Yeah.
But I think it boils down to, I guess when you have more purchasing power, you
Yeah.
will naturally want to buy more things. I think it will be more interesting because my question is from the perspective of a shopper. So actually, after I type the question, right, actually it will be more interesting if, let's say, we take the question from a perspective of the maybe the business owner. Maybe we're talking about Shopee. So how does Shopee encourage these sellers to be more sustainable in their sales and all those kind of things. I mean, I do not have the answer, but yeah, I think it's a really interesting question from the business perspective as well.
I mean, you can also, like, if you still want to continue shopping, probably just start buying from brands which incorporate sustainability, and it's not just greenwashing. So just read up about the brand, because recently, like greenwashing has become a big thing, and brands have been called out, like H&M, Volkswagen,
Yeah.
Tide, and multiple brands have been called out for greenwashing consumers. So there are a lot of articles on the internet available for us to read and make conscious decisions.
Thank you so much.
Maybe we can have the next person. Rishita, do you want to share your question?
She didn't have a question. It's just like a...
Okay, right. Shreya, do you want to share your question?
Hi, Radhika. Yes. So thanks, Preksha. That was a great presentation. So I just wanted to know, you were mentioning about life cycle assessment.
Yeah.
So what I assumed from whatever you were saying, that probably you were talking about the pre-production stage and the consumption stage, and then again, when it's recycled or something like that. Basically, it's like a cradle to grave situation or something like that. So the tool that mentioned, does that calculate the embodied energy, or the output comes in terms of something else?
So it does calculate the embodied energy, but it also tells you about where the maximum impact is. Like for the ID card, the maximum impact was from the aluminum hook that the ID card has, but the most minimum impact was the transport, because it was manufactured and distributed within the US itself. So it gives you all the details, and it also tells you about how much carcinogens are there or how much ocean life is this disturbing. It literally tells you everything possible that.
Oh, that's really interesting to know. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hi, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, Rishita,
asked me a question. Yeah, I was just like, couldn't find my unmute button. But yeah, Preksha, great presentation. And being from the same major like Preksha and Design for Sustainability, every point and every thing that she raised really made a lot of sense and was really reasonable. And yeah, like taking tiny steps and baby steps towards changing the world is something that we really need to do. So yeah, great presentation, Preksha.
Thank you.
Soki, I think you had a question, or like you just joined the meeting a bit later. So for everyone here, we will be uploading the presentation on YouTube as well. We'll be putting up a recording, so not to worry. In about a week's time, the recording will be up and you can view it there. I will be dropping the link, the YouTube channel link here as well on the chat for you guys to follow. Yep. I hope that answers your question, Soki. Again, Preksha, back to what Shreya was mentioning, maybe it would be great if you could drop the link of the, the tool that you use as well, for everyone to sort of get exposed to.
Yeah, I'll do that once I...
Yeah.
I have a question. Firstly, great presentation. First question was, like you said, greenwashing is something that can't be, I mean, it's basically called out only when it's out in the media, right? So how do you find out if a product is really sustainable? Is there anything in terms of the ingredients that are used in the manufacturing of the product? Say, this is completely from the perspective of consumer-based products. Say, just your basic detergents. Are there any ingredients that to look for to know that they're not sustainable?
In terms of that, there's really no like proper way to look for it right now, unless you like have access to the tool and you're able to measure all of that. But also just keep in mind that there is a difference between sustainability and eco-friendly, and sustainability comes under eco-friendly. So sustainability, it still uses natural resources, but it makes sure that there is still enough left for future generations to come. But eco-friendly is about making it like not harming the environment, but it doesn't mean that it won't use fossil fuels or anything like that. So I think you can look for products like that, and also probably just like, I mean, as a consumer, maybe if you start reading up about like something before buying it, because I mean, yeah, that still has a lot of there is a lot of information available right now.
So sustainability as a practice, would you say that it's a more consumer driven mentality over a production driven process? Or
I think it's a balance between both, because production is also you need to make sure that your production process, you're not releasing too many harmful chemicals into the air or the ocean for that matter. And also consumers, because you need to be open to like spending a bit more money, because right now sustainability, like sustainable products are
expensive.
a tad bit more expensive than regular products or green products. So I think it's a bit of like 50-50% probably.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think to that note, I wanted to also ask, as beginners, how can we be more sustainable? I think generally as people, and how can we integrate it in our design practice as well?
In design practice, I would just say like if you're I don't know, if you're a furniture designer or something, think about the materials that you're using. You can probably read about the impacts of each material, and also you can look into alternative materials that are already available, and you can use them. But also do consider that, you know, that material, if you're making the product in US and that material is only available somewhere in Asia, do consider that you need to transport that material as well. So probably it's not the best option to get a material all the way just to make a product here in the US. And I would also say start shopping more locally, because that does reduce the impact a lot. So
okay. Okay. Do we have any more questions for Preksha?
Yes, I have a question. Is sustainability different from circular economy, and how do we differentiate between the both? Thank you.
So I feel like for sustainability, you need to incorporate the circular economy model. So it's not different, it's just incorporated within sustainability. Like you need to make sure that the product doesn't, like it has a longer purpose or a longer life cycle than the current product which is manufactured, and that is where circular economy will help. So
okay, thank you.
And maybe another question to the audience would be like, what else or how else would you want to like learn from Preksha, in terms of sustainable design? What else would you like to learn from her? Because we are thinking of like doing workshops eventually as well, and we might bring Preksha on board. So small little ways of practicing sustainable design. Maybe Preksha, you could share about what are the potential ways we can bring sustainable design as a practice into the sessions as well. If you have any thoughts on that.
I mean, like a workshop, like a simple workshop could be how to use the tool Sustainable Minds, because you need to key in a lot of details and to be able to navigate through that tool. And also there could be workshops on sustainable branding, and how, like, you might think that, you know, this company is sustainable. Like we had to do that last quarter, and we chose a really sustainable furniture brand, and we went to like the professor and we're like, you know, we can't really find out anything about it. He's like, these products are made from recycled kids toys. Imagine, like, they collect the kids toys globally, so that itself is a big issue over there. So like things that you can consider when you're developing a sustainable branding, there could be a workshop related to that.
Yeah, that'll be super helpful actually. Could you talk about that? How could we, even identify brands like in greater detail? How could they be more sustainable, etc.?
Yeah, I think that will be a completely different talk, because that's a lot of information to share right now. Because I mean, yeah, I've learned that for like about 3 months, so I can't literally share that in like 5 minutes or something. Like it's actually a proper workshop to like how to make like how to integrate sustainable practices and make your like sustainable branding itself.
Yeah, right.
I think we have a few suggestions from Rishita as well as to what we can incorporate in the workshops. I think it's the same
She's talking about the sustainable minds, the tool that we use to do life cycle analysis, and yeah.
And we also have something from Vikraman. Vikraman, would you like to share a little bit about your thoughts?
Yeah. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Perfectly.
Yeah. So So because a lot of times I think companies are getting distracted in planning for strategy, and they often forget about the sustainability part. So I thought it'd be quite good to look into how we can embed the sustainability goals inside the strategy. You got my question?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Yeah, so about embedding the sustainability goals into the company strategy planning.
Yeah, I think that comes under the sustainable branding part that I was just talking about.
Okay.
So that that way, like I told, that will be a completely different workshop on how companies can embed sustainable goals or incorporate different practices to make sure that their products are like more durable and reusable.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Okay, I think what we'll do now is I'd like everyone to just switch on their cameras. We're going to take a quick picture, and then I'll be sharing a little bit about We Design People, and then yeah. So it's nice to see everyone's faces. Okay. Can we have the rest of you also switch on your cameras for a bit? Okay. Great. Okay. Please, you can go ahead and take a picture.
Sure.
Okay, everyone. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, done. Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks a lot, Preksha. I think that was a very informative first introduction on sustainable design, or how sustainability comes into design. And we'll definitely have more talks with her. And we're also looking to have workshops where we'll bring her in to help all of us understand sustainable design or sustainability from a design perspective, but also for non-designers. And Preksha has very kindly just dropped the link of Sustainable Minds. So do check that out.
Yeah, the LCA tool that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to share a little bit about what We Design People is and what is upcoming, what's next that we have coming up. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay, is everyone able to see my screen? Yeah, all good?
Yeah.
Okay. So We Design People is basically a design community for designers and for non-designers. This is where we bring design closer to people who feel like it's a big barrier for them, because we feel like design is not just about visual design, it's also about how you think, it's about creativity, it's about your mindset as well. And everyone is a designer at the end of the day in some form. So our mission is to bring design across to aspiring designers and non-designers, so that in the future, everyone can have a curious mind of their own, where they understand design in their own ways as well. And they have their own means of applying it as a skill, delivering empathy, imagination, and user-driven products and services. So currently, our team is made up of me. I'm the founder, and I'm a service designer by profession. We have Siddhi, who is our visual communicator and curriculum designer, Devangana and Teeth, who are graphic designers and UI designers. And we're always looking to also expand our team. So do let us know if you're interested in, being part of this movement and organization. Some of the things that we're coming up with is speaker sessions where we bring experts or growing experts in different domains closer to you. We have workshops as well, and boot camps, which will be more certified. The workshops will be more of introduction sessions, and the boot camps will be longer ones over, let's say, a month or 4 weeks time. And we're also planning to have academic and career talks where we bring alumni from different various schools closer to you so you could understand from them. We can have a panel discussion for you to be able to understand how their educational journey was, what they think about the school, what they think about the course, so you have a better exposure on that, and also the path they took into getting into the workplace. And finally, some fun get-togethers as well, where we just cool off. We do some fun activities together. So please do look forward to all of this. And watch out for our upcoming talks. So we'll be having Soumya, who's a service designer based in London. And she'll be talking about public service design and public services towards the end of June. We will be sending out emails and do follow us on Instagram and our Slack channel as well to keep up to date. And Mavelyn as well, who's a senior product designer at Grab currently. So she'll also be giving a talk. So scan this QR code, follow us on Slack, and you can also follow us on our other multiple channels. My colleague will be dropping the Linktree link, which will have all the different social media platforms that we have, and you can follow those. I'm going to leave this page here for a bit so you guys can just scan this and join us. Yeah. Teeth, if you could also just drop the link, that would be super useful.
Yeah, I've already shared.
Okay, great. Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone. Anyone has any questions for Preksha or any questions for We Design People? Anything you're curious about?
I had one little question about the same topic. Sorry. It's like, so sustainable design, I just wanted to know where else it's taught. Like, is it a course, it's a very rare course still, or is it very much there?
It's actually quite a rare course because when I was looking to do it, I could find only 2 places that offer like a design based course. There's a lot of MSc in sustainability if you're interested in doing that. That's quite widely available. But for design, I only found SCAD and UAL in London. But
okay.
I'm sure there might be a few more options now. And there are a lot of short online courses as well on that if you're looking for something like, not like a
Oh,
proper
is it? Could you share the links to some online courses if they exist?
Yeah, I saw something by Unschool, but if I do find more, I'll send it across to Radhika.
Preksha, you can also put it on the Slack channel. So you can put it on our members channel on Slack for everyone to view there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, everyone? Thanks a lot for joining us. I think it's been really great, and thanks a lot for supporting our growing community. We are growing slowly, and it's really nice to see everyone. Do let us know if you're interested in sharing anything with the community as well, like Preksha has. We are really open to that and co-creating this community together. Yeah. Preksha, anything else?
No, thank you so much for joining, and there were some really great questions as well. So,
yeah. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care and have a great evening or great morning from wherever you're signing in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.